Today's lesson is about rhythm. When we play music, there are two components to every note that we play. We have the pitch component and the rhythm component. The pitch tells us how high or low to play the note, and the rhythm tells us how long to hold it for. So each different length that we want to hold a note has a different visual representation in the music. So we'll start off with the longest note that we use in music, and it's called a whole note, and it looks like a whole, and that's kind of helpful. So a whole note is called a whole note because in 4/4 time, a whole note takes a whole measure. So if you're familiar with time signature, 4/4 time means that there are 4 quarter notes in a measure, and the top number tells us how many beats to count in each measure of music. So in 4/4 time, we count to 4. And when we're playing a whole note, we hold for the full 4 beats in that measure. So you would clap it like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a whole note. If you were playing it on the piano, you would choose your note and hold it like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, and release. So you hold it for the full 4 beats and release after the 4th beat is completed. So this being the longest note in music, the next type of note we have is a half note. So if a whole note takes a whole measure, I bet you can figure out how much a half note takes. Right, a half note takes half of a measure in 4/4 time. So if we have 4/4 time, then each of these notes takes half of a measure. So the first note will hold for the first half of the measure, and the second note will hold for the second half of a measure. So this makes the first note hold for 2 beats, 1, 2, second note for the second 2 beats, 3, 4. So you would clap it like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. Or you would play it like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. So each of these notes holds for 2 full beats. The next type of rhythm is the one that's quite obvious from the name. It is a quarter note. So here I have 4 quarter notes, and this makes sense because we've been talking all this time about 4/4 time or 4/4 time. So what 4/4 time is 4 beats in the measure, and the 4 on the bottom is the bottom of the denominator. Remember fractions in school? You put the numerator on top and the denominator on the bottom. And the numerator always tells you how many, and the denominator tells you what you have or what size it is. So 4/4 time is another way of writing this: 4/4. So if we had the fraction 4/4, in music we could write it like this: 4/4. So in 4/4 time, we have 4 quarter notes. Each one takes a beat. So here we get the literal meaning of the time signature: 4 quarter notes. You clap it like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. And you would play it on the piano like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. You might think that quarter notes are the fastest notes that we can play because we now have 4 notes in a measure that takes 4 beats, but we can actually go faster than this. We can use notes that are faster than a beat. So, for example, if a woman is pregnant, she might have 1 baby in her belly. That's just 1 baby per belly. But if she's pregnant with twins, then she has 2 babies, and they're both still in the same belly. So in music, we can sometimes have twins in every beat of music. So we can have, instead of singles, we can have doubles in each of these beats. So it would be like double, 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 double. And the way we would write that is we would use 8th notes. So there's an awful lot of them here, but I just said the answer 8th notes. And if you count the note heads, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 of them. Now what makes 8th notes unique is that they have something that we didn't have before. On the quarter notes, it's just a single head with a stem. But with 8th notes, both of the heads have stems, and now they're connected together with a beam, just like twins are connected together by the mother. So here we have 4 sets of 8th notes, 4 pairs, and you would clap it like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. And each of those notes takes an equal part of the beat. So we like to also subdivide the counting when we use eighth notes. We could count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that lets us feel equally where the notes are divided. You can use other words to give you equal beat rhythms, subdivisions here. So you could use a word like puppy. Puppy, 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 puppy. There are 4 puppies. There are 4 beats and there are 4 eighth notes. And when you count this, you would count each of the eighth notes. Each of the pairs of eighth notes takes a beat. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And you notice I put the number directly underneath the first note because that's the note that plays on the beat. The second note plays halfway through the beat, so we could use and to help us subdivide this. And we would clap it like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and we would play it on the piano like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Alright, so that's as fast as we can go, right? Wrong. Every time we've gotten faster, we've doubled the speed of the notes. So we've had whole note takes a whole measure. Half note, 2 of them take each half a measure. Quarter note, 4 of them, each take a quarter of a measure. Eighth note, 8 of them, each take an eighth of a measure. So now we have, doubling 8, 16. We'll have a 16th note. How many do you think will fit in a measure? 16. Each note will take a 16th of a measure. So let's imagine the beats as being bellies. Again, if we have 4 beats in a measure and we have 4 notes in a beat, they have to each share a beat. So here we have 4 groups, 4 beats of 16th notes. And they would go 1, 2, 3, 4. We still have 4 beats. You would clap it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can hear I did 4 claps on each beat, like alligator or Mississippi. So I could clap this now, Mississippi, 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 Mississippi. And I'm counting 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want to further subdivide these notes, then you can actually count 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, and that is helpful for tricky rhythms sometimes. So I'll just write that down here. I've written 1 E plus a. So 1 E and a. Then I have 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. So I'm going to play these on the piano now, but I'm going to use 4 different notes. On beat 1, I'm going to use C, and I'm going to move up a note for each next beat. So I will have 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Now I played those quickly. I tried to keep my beat steady, but I could also play my quarter time at a much more largo tempo, which is slower. So it would go 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Just because these are written as 16th notes doesn't mean they have to race. The beat can be slower, and then you have more time to play the 16th notes. Alright, so just to review, we began with whole notes, and a whole note holds for 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next, we had half notes. A half note holds for 2 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next, we had quarter notes. Each one holds for 1 beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see I'm using random pitches for this because there are no pitches indicated. These are just rhythms. Now we have eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And last of all, we had 16th notes. There are 16 of them. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Thanks for watching.